So, okay, this is part 2, and we're on reading the Tiv, and we're on number Taf Samach Dalet. So he said, "The common key Adar Rashash Shemos and Hiskarim Shehim Shemos Akia Havaya and Adni." Now the Adni he had as a milui, but here he talked differently. Both in She'edar Rashash Shemos Kashehim B'Shute Below milui. If you just take the names themselves, they go to the gematria of Yabuk. So should start of Cheshbon Shemos Akia Havaya Adni. He's a Yachtov Haim Olim the gematria Mispar Yabuk. Okay, so I'm normally thinking that Yabuk means, like you have the mochin and they have to go through the neck. That said, the mochin, they have to go through the neck, which is a narrow place. They're able to get through there. That's kind of like what I'm thinking here. So if B'Shem Yaakov who sewed, so this is the secret. It's a secret. I guess he just leaves it there. And he said, B'Shem B'Savaya Elokim Olim Yachtav Cheshbon V'Gematria Yakbuk. So also, if you make a mixture of Avaya and Elokim, and that was supposed to be the idea that the Elokims are there in the beginning, because they're Mochin the Godless, and the Avaya now starts coming in, which is Mochin the Godless, and the two of them mix, and they make a gematria of Yabuk. Began the Mispar Ekya Havaya Ekya Canal, just like we said before. They're also going to make this concept of Yabuk. Now, I didn't explain here what Yabuk does, but that was a thought that I had, and I explained. Became in Shehem Tefillin Shal Yad, Shehem Mochim Shal Nuk, so since they're those of the Tefillin of the Nuk, became a Ramazim Kan B'Malchus. So what you're talking about here is Malchus. Bringing, I guess, the Shefa into Malchus and the Emer on the Nuk, which is better than the Tzrichim O Levarer. Also, you have to find out or to explain what is the relationship between the Nuk and the word Yabuk? Well, that's, I guess, the question I'm asking here. So now that's the end of the Kavanot Tefillin Shayat. So just looking at this, I did look at the Rashash on the Tefillin Shayat, and we could look at that. Is that the thing to do here now, or should we go to the Rosh? So I was going to just go to the Rosh now. So he says, so now that you put on the Tefillin Shayat, he said, the Kavanot is a shaykh of the Tefillin Shayat, and now you're saying the Kavanot there that really refers to the hand Tefillin. Let's read up at the top. That's what I'm supposed to do, because I don't want to shortchange the words of the Rav. And switch them out to the words of the Tiv, which are pretty much the same. V'achar kach b'hagiach of the Tefillin shel Rosh tichon tekaven. Excuse me. Ba'ofen achar, you have a different kabbalah. Kitachidach tekaven b'sod iva rishon, just like we did with the Tefillin shel Yad. The shem ekya b'milu yudin, but it would be the word kasa, or 161 is the milu of yudin. V'achar kach, and then after that, the Kavanot, so the Yanika Shuhu Havaya, Vuhu Arba Mochim, Shehim Chach B'Bina Chasadim Ugavuros. Now, let me say this again. He says that Acher Kach, after you have the Kavanah, that you're bringing in this Milui of Akia, right, you're on the head now, and the Acher Kach, the Kavanot, so the Yanika Shuhu Havaya, and then he says the Havaya Vuhu Arba Mochim, and the Havaya represents 4 Mochim, I guess, Shehim Chach B'Bina Chasadim V'Gavor Tzaddas. But the Kavin, so then you should have this Kavanah. L'masho da'aticha b'Drushot tzitz is what I told you over there. Ki kol echad ma'arba mochim kolu ma'arba. So if the Havaya represents really the birth, I guess you mean to say, of the Mochin, and now he says that each one of the Mochin has 4 Mochin within it. So therefore, this is what actually happens, and we'll see it in the Rashash, that you actually have the 4 names of Yaakov b'Maluim. So Besod Av Sag Ma Ben, and I'm not sure exactly what that means. We're going to do an asmab on those Yaakovs. So they're going to be 4 of them, and each one of them, refers to the Yaakov of Av, one to the Yaakov of Sag and Ma Ben respectively. So this is the Muach HaChochma. V'achar kach tekavan al arba shemas aki. So then that's what so every moach is going to have four parts to it. And the first one is going to be Yaakov, and then the second, which have to be to the Tekavan Bechabu Shem Aki Min Shem Akia, that comes from the name Akia, the first three letters. V'chashnayim Rishonim Yehiyoch b'Milu Yudin. The first two should be with the Milu of Yudin. That's the first two Akis. V'chashlishi b'Chalafim v'Ravi b'Heim. Just as what we see all the time. That's the progression. V'Tov l'Shalev v'Lechaber. So it's good to put them all together and make them into the Yaakov Rishon, Im Aki Rishon, so then we do that. So we'll have to see that in the Rashash. V'chein al derek zecha b'kol arba Yaakov im arba Aki. So he said to do the same thing, you make a shilav over there. V'hinei arba shemos Aki, heim b'gematria Tefillin. How about that? So on this you'd have this kavanah when you say bebirchos l'chanich tefillin. This is the kavanah you're putting on the fiat aki elu. So now that got me a little confused when he said it, because the phrase l'chanich tefillin really for Ashkenaz refers to the arm tefillin, because we say on mitzvahs tefillin when we do the other one. But here I think in Sfardim they don't say the mitzvahs tefillin, they just say the first one, and maybe that's part of the kavanah. So in other words, it spreads over to the head tefillin as well. Counts for both. V'gam tekava b'milas tefillin, so now also could have this kavanah on the word tefillin itself. El Shem, so this is pasat mem, v'hu shem shel kaf beis genaida. It's one of the names of the 22 letters. I guess it's a combination of some sort. V'hu gam came be gematria tefillin, and this name also, this combination of letters, also comes to the gematria of tefillin. Now somewhere I wrote down the gematrias, but I don't know where. So let's go back to the Tov Ayin Aleph in the Tiva Kavanot on page Shin Pei. So it says again, he says, you put them on already, then you put on the tefillin of Rosh. So he's using the word lahaniach, which goes along with the original bracha if you don't say two brachos. So and when you are putting them on, what do you do? To kaven the shloshes hakavanos shel iver yaniko mochen again. So it's like the birth of them. In other words, the kavanah is to bring them into reality, or bring them into reality from gestation through Yanika and into finally maturity. Akba ofen achar mekavanim to the Tefillin shayad. But there's a different set of kavanas here. So now he says that the first thing is to realize that Zer Anpin is receiving mochin, and the mochin, or the preliminary stage of those mochin, is the concept. That's why I'm translating the Be'ez Iber Rishon the Nikra Nefesh. So those mochin shenikra b'nefesh ku shem akya b'milu yudin kazeh. So he said, after this, now he did that, and now this is the first kavanah when you're going to the head tefillin. Now I can imagine that I'm in a situation where I can take my time if I want to, and try to think through all of these things, because they're new, and maybe try to get it done faster. But at any rate, this is the detail. So he says, so after you do the Akia, the Milu Yudin, then you come over here and you're going to work on the Tefillin, the concept of Yanika, that they're actually going to be born out, they're generated, which of course that generation is called Ruach. It's like when a child is born, maybe, comes out of the mother's womb, also a ruach, like a breath, or out of, just coming out, everything's evacuating, some kind of out of a pressure chamber, and maybe some wind comes with it. I don't know, maybe it's a metaphor. V'sham ha-mochim sheyesh b'yanicha, so there you see the mochim that pertain to Yanika. Hu Shem Havaya, this is the name of Yudke Vavke. V'shem Havaya D'Yanichim is Chalak L'Arba Mochim. But that's just not so simple, is that the Havaya itself, and this is something they have to think about how the Havaya works, that it could be divided into 4 different parts. In other words, it's the Mochin themselves, all 4 of them. So there's now the Havaya itself represents the 4 Mochin. But the Kavanot b'shem Havaya shall Yanika Dazah. So now let's have this Kavanot here. We'll look at the Havaya of Yanika of Zeran. Bin Commotion is Boyer La'el has been explained. But Drushot Tzitzis, he says Sha'arber b'mochel sheyesh l'Zeran pen heim ba'ofen shekol muach u'muach kol ba'arba mochin. So there's 16 of them. The nimsa shel l'zecha v'yesh arba b'mochen de chochma, v'arba mochen de bina, v'arba mochen de chesad de das, v'arba mochen de gevurz de das. But l'chein, so therefore, shekol muach u'muach kol ba'arba mochin, since every moach has 4 mochin in it, l'chein tekaven b'shemas ha-mochin the Yanika, so therefore you should have this Kavanot while you're doing it, and so you want to know what the mochin of Yanika look like, and we said there's 4 of them, and each one of them has 4. Barba milui shema shal Yaakov. So just 3 letters of the Yud K Vav K. So of course why it would be like this, but he's not. That's where my thinking always goes. Why would it be a Yaakov? So it is. So he says it's the first part. It's missing the final Hey. That's my question. So missing the final Hey. But like I say, this is really a cookbook, and you have to do it. Something has to be done. So this is the Kavanot itself. He says that that's the right one. So he says, "V'arba milu Yaakov." Okay, we have a little pause here at the 12-minute mark. Coming back. Okay. So he says, "V'arba milu Yaakov came b'seder zeh." First, you have the 2 the Yaakov of Av, and it looks like this: Yud Daled Ke Yud Vav. Second, Yaakov the Sag, Kazeh Yud Vav Daled Ke Aleph, and then it's above Aleph Vav. Then you have the 3rd one is Yaakov the Ma, is of course the Milui of Alofim, is Yud Vav Daled Ke Aleph Vav. The 4th one is Yaakov the Ben, Yud Vav Daled Ke Vav Vav. Okay, all of that. V'kol Arba Milui Yaakov Yachdav Mahavim as Muach HaChochma Dezah de Yanika. So they become the Muach of Chochma Dezah of Yanika. So that's Chochma. Ma'achar Kasha Kavanta Ba'arba Milu Yaakov Shehem Muach Chochma Dezah de Yanika. There's 4 different kinds of them. Kavanot Arba Milu Shemesh Aki. Shehem Shlosha Osius Rishonas of the name Akia. Lelo HaOs Achrona, once again, it's missing the last Hey. So this is the mochin. So I'm just trying to think of. It is bothering me why it doesn't have the Hey, but you're not supposed to ask why. So I'm trying to think if there's a metaphor that would make sense with that. V'shnei miluim aki rishonim hem milui yudin kazeh. This is the same kind of pattern. So it starts with Aleph K Yud. So Aleph Lamba Fe K Yud Vav Dalet, and then it said V'shem Aki Ashlishi. That's the first 2 are like that. And so you can see it here on the page. And the 4th one is Hayin b'shem Aki Ravi Chubamilui Hayin. So Aleph Lamed Fe KK Yud Vav Dalet. So he says, then it says V'tov L'chaber L'Shalef. So what you really want to do is to try to put them together as Shem Yaakov Rishon. So you put the Yaakov of Rishon in the Aki of Rishon, with the Aki of Rishon. Now, this is something similar to, I was going to say, to Oros, where you have the Makif and you have the Panimi. But at any rate, you're putting these 2 together, he says. So you do the same thing in Arba Milui Aki. So you do that. So you put that together. It's Tefillin below Hayud the Rishona without the first Yud. So in other words, missing a Yud. So again, what that means, I'm not sure. So he said, so when you make the bracha l'chaniach tefillin, and he's really saying it like the Svardim do, I think, that really covers both the arm and the head tefillin. And so that, therefore, what you're doing with the arm tefillin, you have to have in mind also that this is the same time when you're making that bracha. When you say the word tefillin, you should have that in mind. And Mitzvah Hashem, we're going to see this in the Rashash. So v'gam dekam b'milas tefillin v'yesh nel gavona nosefis b'birchas l'chaniach tefillin. And what is that? B'tevis tefillin, with the word of tefillin itself. Sha'az yesh l'kavein b'shem, this name, pasat mem. So what does that do for you? I haven't really worked with these names like this. Shezeh Hashem hu chelik b'shem shel kaf beis osius, of the name of 22 letters. Shuhu, and here it comes, anakt mem, pasat mem, pasi mem, and diunsi mem. Now, these things I really don't know. He says this is the name of the 22 letters. So first I was thinking that maybe it was a chelik of just take the aleph base and start dividing it up, but that's not true. That's not what it is. I don't know what it is. So, but he says this is the name of 22 letters. V'hu yotze b'birchos kahanim, and it comes out of the birchos kahanim, and maybe I did see it because I did go through the tiv on that, but I don't remember it. V'zech Hashem pasat mem, hu gam ola b'gematria k'misvah tefillin, so it also comes out to the same idea, the same concept as tefillin. Male im shnei yudin, and I guess we're going to see that. Now it's time. Let's see, we have a couple of minutes. Let's open up and let me make a mark on this. This would be this 7 Adar. Okay, and I'll move this up. Let's go to the Rashash Sidur. Okay, I happen to have it fairly modestly handy here. And I have here, I'm in the wrong place, Kavanot Tefillin. This is where we are. This in my book, it's page Sadi. So it says Tefillin shel yad. So here we go. Yachol la'alos nekudas hakaser dechub deny debina derochel. So again, I want to take some time just to look at this translation. And we'll read it again. Yekaven la'alos the kudas hakaser. So this is the dot of kaser, the chub of the top part of the parts of, which is the parts of 9. I guess it's the mochin of Abba Ve'ima, the Abba Ve'ima part of the Nai, the Bina. Which Bina? The Bina de Rachel. So he says, and where is the Bina of Rachel at this time? Well, the Rabbin of Bria, she's in Bria. And this is the original drush that we were learning in the Ari, where he comes and he says, and to tie it onto your left arm, which is the arm of Gevura. Why? The left arm, which is the arm of Gevura, the Zer Datzilus, Rishimo Shalamochim Shalah. And to bring to her the Rishimo, that, remember we had the whole thing with the Rishimo of her Mochin, goes to the heart of Zer Anpen, and then you pull that over there too. Ha'omlim beliba the Zer Anpen, v'heim elu hashemos, and then they are these names, he says. Now, I'd like to read the last part again, because we're going to see it. The Rashash is fairly simple to look at, but v'lahamshech law, to bring to this Rachel, and this aspect of the Rachel, is Nachi Debina, so on and so forth. So he says, law, Rishimo Shalamochim Shalah, Ha'omnim Beliba Dezer Anpin, Ve'ein Elu Hashemos. So what is the Hashemos? Is that these are the Mochin that were of the Nukva that were in the heart of Zer Anpin. So then he says the Mochin here, you have to always look at the Mochin, I guess he's saying this, as I'm looking on the left side now. He says that you have to do on the top on the left side, it says Iver Rishon, Yanika, and Iber Beis. And he mentions in Iber Aleph the Kavanot. that it represents the 21 names. So I guess, what would I say? The appearance of the 21 names? And then the Unica would be the Dalit Parshios, and the Parshios, which is filling it out more and making it not just 21 names, but also the Parshas in which the 21 names are included. And then Eber Beis is the bias of the Tefillin, he says that's the final maturity of the whole thing. Now he says, now if you want to know what Eber Beis looks like, according to Ritzo, you have a machlokes here between Rabbeinu Tam and Rashi. So I'm sure you're familiar with this more than I am. So it says Eber Aleph is Kaf Aleph Iskaros is understood by Rabbeinu Tam to be the Ekia like this, just a portion of the Ekia. But here's where he differs in his order, and he says the unique stage, which refers to the Parshios themselves, should be the order of Yud K Vav. So I was thinking that maybe, what happened here? Are you still there, Rebbe? Okay. So that I was thinking that this maybe is the formula that we saw before. The Yichud of the Yud and the K, and then the Vav and the K going up to the first Hey, and then bringing the Shefa down into Hey and Vav again. The only problem is that the Hey and the Vav are inverted so that you have the Vav at the end instead of the K, but that's the way the Tiv originally said that, actually. It's that the K pulls up the Vav with it. But let's see, at any rate. That maybe that is and maybe that isn't. And then according to Eber Beis, then, is going to be Adni in Emilui. Then, according to Rashi, though, is the way that we understand it, it's going to be Ekia, and then just a simple Avaya, and then it's going to be Adni, like that. So, could we go on a little bit more? We have a little bit more time? How much? Okay. Okay, so now we're going to read on the right side. So he says, this is the Kavanot. Yekavin ki Ekia Mispar Kof Aleph Iskaros Sod Eber Aleph. So again, it's a developmental process. I'm trying to understand the background of this. So he says that Ekia is a Gematria 21, which represents I guess everything is built around this. That's why I would say that. So the first thing is that you have to have an Eber, which is the 21 names. Then after that, we go down to the next of a Havaya Shabbat has Daled Osius Neged Daled Parshios. So we have 4 letters. He says corresponding portion. So the Unica. Again, Havaya, 4 letters. So the Unica. Then he says Va'adni Male. So Eber Beis, Mochin the Godless. This is Eber Beis, and if you look over to the left, then you see the Ekia. You see what? You see? So it was Eber Beis, the Godless Neged Abayis. Ve'elo Eber Unica Umochin Heim the Godless. So this is the stage of Godless. So he says that it's an Ekia, and it's a Kavaya of Yakako and Adni. He says, V'gimel Shemus Elo, that's according to Rabbeinu Tam. And it also that brings you the Gematria, no matter what you do with this, I'm pronouncing Yikako, but it's still Yudke Vavke, just switched around. And it comes the Gematria of Yabuk. That means that it is, I see it as the womb itself or something like that, coming out of the womb. And then Rabbeinu Tam holds that this is the Shiluf. Always has the Gematria Yabuk. According to Rashi, the Shiluf is the way that the Rav said it. Ekia Havaya Adni, rather. Gematria Elo Gim is also a Yabuk. And then we see the Shiluf of Havaya Elokem, also Yabuk. Ki Kain I guess Amale so Tefillin, Amila, I don't know what this was, Amala so Tefillin, Shall Yad Nikras Maver Yaakov. So he says the Mila, the what? The Male of the Tefillin, is that what? He came Amale is so Tefillin, Shall Yad Nikras Maver Yabok. It's called the passageway of the Yabok. Okay, I guess we'll stop there and try to come back to it tomorrow. We'll pick it up and we'll try to do the Rashash.